jam! Hello again and welcome to the Mana Pool.
Good job, you got the intro right.
I did on the first try.
Yeah.
This is episode 468 of the Mana Pool, brought to you as always by Mike's glorious beard. And Dirk's not at all stifled snicker.
Not at all.
What about my swollen foot?
And Brian's swollen foot.
And that is not a euphemism.
Ew. I am Chewy. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I'm Brian. I'm the lead Rambler Tangent Master. We've got previews, so I'm going to be talking a lot. And you know what they say about a man with a large swollen foot? And if you do know what they say about that, let me know, because I don't actually know.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And my first guess would they say that he must have a large swollen shoe.
I wish.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I would say that it could be a many assortment of things, ranging from a twisted ankle to an allergic reaction to something, a many of assortment of things.
Well, I know exactly what caused it. Were you not here?
Oh, I know too.
Okay. I just,
I'm trying not to give away.
Oh, okay. Yes. Let's keep it a secret for the Patreon.
I'm trying to.
If you want to know about my
things
foot,
that I personally have experienced that resulted in a swollen
foot, swollen foot.
Ankle,
finish the statement.
Of that sort. Swollen appendage. Swollen bodily attachments.
All right, moving on. So, last week we recorded on Thursday of announcement week, which means we got everything except for the new cards.
Right.
Which means
we are.
This episode is all about the new cards and the new stuffs, the new hotness.
It's almost like we planned it that way.
You'd think, but it's more complete coincidence that Thursday happens to be our recording day. I mean, nope, did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So we have a couple things to go over here. No other news, right? I mean, Vegas happened, which was cool, but that was a lot of stuff. We got a lot of previews, and all.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh God, I knew someone would say it.
I know. You knew it was going to happen.
But as far as Hour of Devastation, just like with Amonkhet and the last couple sets with the Masterpiece series, which is to be temporarily suspended after this set, keep that in mind. We have the normal cards in the set, and then we have the Invocations. The Invocations are completely standalone too. So should we go ahead and just knock those out real quick before we get to the mechanics?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
I do have to point out that we spent longer than normal on Monday Night Magic on these because the art on these in particular is just so sick.
Amazing. And I'll tell you, I had dinner with Mike last night, and he pointed out to me that he felt, well, how did you put it? Because he put it more eloquently than I would.
Yeah, this is the way, and I think this is the same phrasing that I used when I guessed it on JudgeCast, that just looking at them, the pairing of, what the cards are and the art that they assign to them, I get this feeling of abject despair just looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything, the world is ending and heaven was a lie. And here we are.
Yeah. And I didn't think about it until he had put it that way. And then I thought about the cards that are like just mechanically what they even do. And I'm like, yeah, despair is a good word. And right off the bat, we have Armageddon. And if you need another word for despair in Magic, it's destroy all lands, which is not a word, but it's summed up as Armageddon. So
destroy lands.
Ugh. Yeah. So
Destro y'all lands. Typo.
Oh, I really hope I don't start accidentally saying that. Destro y'all lands.
By the way, Mike was on the most recent episode of JudgeCast.
So I heard. But see, when Chewy says destroy all lands, do you guys watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged?
Nah.
No.
Okay. They're currently doing the season where it was darts, and the guy that voices Darts does it. I don't know if I can even do the voice, but it's like, only you can tell what he's trying to say, but everything is done with this really weird accent. So when Chewie said, destroy all lands, that's exactly what I heard in my head. Darts is like, go and twibu da wezabaz babaj. Oh, I'm messing up terribly. Anyway, let's keep going.
Mowage.
Yeah. Yes, it's the guy from Robin Hood, Prince of Tights.
Even though that was the Princess Bride.
Prince of Tights.
Yeah. Oh my god. So that's all for one card.
Yes. We also have Capsize, which is very frustrating to play against. AJ.
Also,
AJ used to play
all of the everybody sinking in a sea of blood. That's nice. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. In the story, the demon shows up at the beginning of the hours and uses blood magic to turn that river, the Luxa?
The Luxa, yeah.
Into blood. So it's the first sign that, as Mike put it, heaven is a lie and everything is terrible. So
Plagues of Egypt have come a returning.
Well,
Actually, yeah.
You got the river of blood, and later we're going to get to locusts and whatnot. So
I mean, you can sort of see those in Forbid, the next card.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Where poor, it looks like Hazaret is just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what's the next one with the most intimidating Bolas art ever?
Omniscience. Which, if you're playing Omniscience, doesn't feel bad at all because you're like, I can do all the things. But if you've ever played against Omniscience, it can make you feel really mad. So, I mean, ask anybody that's played against Omni Show and Tell.
Yeah, in those cases, usually just immediately lose playing against Omniscience, so you don't have too much time to feel bad.
Right. And then I really like the art in the next one. I definitely like the Bolas art in Omniscience. Don't get me wrong. That one stands out to me quite a bit. But I also really like the art in Opposition because it's very chaotic and very, war torn. So
And very biblical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's totally a plague of giant locusts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coming to get you.
Mm.
So there were two of these where the invocation text actually gave me pause. And this was the first one, Sunder.
I was wondering that too.
I was like, wait, what? And then it snapped, and once it snapped, now I can't unsee it. But I distinctly remember not being able to read that for a good second.
Because the S doesn't sort of instantly roll into it. Almost looks like umber.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is umber? No, under. What is under? Oh, sunder! Oh! Because then I read the card and went, but still.
They really hate your lands.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Bolas.
It's Bolas.
Well, based on the little animated thing, when Bolas comes, it's like the land just opens up and explodes. So
yeah. Well,
apparently, Nico Bolas is very land hating.
Well, he doesn't want you to have any options. You don't oppose Bolas. You don't disobey him. You just do what he says or you die. Only now at the end do you understand. Then we got Threads of Disloyalty, which again feels very flavorfully on point.
Yep.
And then we got to the next one. I don't know how I feel about the art for this next one because it's kind of hard to really, I don't know, to tell what exactly is what. But it's Avatar of Woe, which is awesome.
Hell yeah,
And
Joey Lawrence Elemental.
And it fits perfectly. I like the art. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad art. I just, it's so different from the original. It's so different that I have a hard time really picking.
We know what it looks like. Looks like Haku from Samurai Jack.
Aku?
Oh,
Yeah,
it does
Aku.
look like Aku, yeah. This also looks like it would be art where the Bolas horns would be in the background, but it's not, and I think that's throwing me.
Man, I love
Well,
Aku.
there are Bolas horns shapes on the ruined monument, and it's kind of making Bolas horn shaped with its arms.
Yeah. I just meant the big ones in the background. This looks like the kind of art where it would just be back there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
And then we get to
This freaking card.
Well, I'm telling you, they picked out some good cards, and not like Armageddon. You may not go like, "Yay, Armageddon," but it's iconic. And then you get to this card, and we've thought we would see this card a couple times in other sets, and it wasn't in Modern Masters, was it?
No.
No.
Wasn't it?
Mm-mm.
No, wait.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
it
it was.
The
was
latest
it in?
one?
It was in the latest one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Finally. But it wasn't in From the Box Damnation. From
From the Vault.
From the Vault.
Damnation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
What was
Not-
that actually called? From the Vault?
Annihilation.
Annihilation. Yeah, we called it. I called it anyway. From the Vault Damnation, because surely they're going to put it in there. Nope.
But
And
it's
look,
here.
After all this time of not getting it, now we get it twice.
And it's here, and it's glorious.
Yeah, that
Damnation.
is
And that is an absolutely beautiful piece of art on it.
Yes.
Yeah, that is Bolas messing stuff up something fierce, and it's really cool.
Yeah. And then Desolator Angel from Apocalypse.
Even though
We
it's
really-
Desolation Angel, but yeah.
Desolations. Well, see, again, that text kind of messes with you. Desolation Angel. Bolas really, really, really hates your lands. Just hates them. I'm surprised Sundering Giant is not an invocation here.
Titan? Sundering Titan?
Sundering Titan.
Yeah.
What I say, Sundering Giant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something else entirely.
It's probably from a different game. So yeah, then we've got Diabolic Edict, which is just classic.
Hmm. And then, the art on this next one is so sweet.
Oh,
Mike,
yeah.
Mike, you love this card.
Doomsday.
Mike plays this card and actually makes it work. Like in multiplayer. That's hard to do.
I mean, this is the card that
So-
killed Superman.
Is this
Putting them
Bolas
into
is the one in the
healing.
picture, and then his horns are in the back?
No,
No,
this is
that's
this
the
is-
demon Razaketh.
yeah.
Okay.
The hours started and everybody was like, "Yay, we get to see the God Pharaoh!" And the door to the afterlife, quote unquote, opened, and it turned out it was just a door that led to the desert. And they're like, "Huh?" And then Razaketh flew out and made the river that sustains their lifestyle into blood. And everybody was like, "What?" And then he started calling out Liliana because he could sense that she was there, and it was a whole big thing. This thing is big and mean and scary, and we're actually going to get to his card later. But yeah, so that's Doomsday.
Yay.
No Mercy is next, and that's another flavor win because No Mercy. I mean, technically, before Bolas even showed up, there really wasn't much in the way of mercy in Amonkhet because you trained and you died. So no mercy.
So, are the blue things, the blue creatures in this, are they the undead zombies that Bolas resurrects?
Yes, those are the
Eternals.
Those are the Eternals. Those are, when a person does so awesome that they finish the final trial and Hazaret gives them an honorable death, they get carried on a barge into the afterlife. And what we've now found out is that they get carried to this huge necropolis outside of the city, and that's where Bolas has been having his servants turn them into the Eternals.
Okay.
Right. To be his invincible army of the undead.
See, if something sounds too good to be true, probably is.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, I was never sold on the whole, hey, work really hard so a god can kill me idea in the first place. But, that's just me.
Well, I mean, that's a cultural difference.
That is a cultural difference. Oh, yeah, I know. According to the story, when Bolas invaded, he actually took a ritual, this ritual of the trials that was undertaken every several years and made it into an everyday part of people's lives because he wanted to crank up the death to like 11. So this is something that still existed in their culture, not the invincible army, but the rite of passage of the trials. But it was a very rare and ceremonial occurrence and might, result in a sacrifice, every decade or so, maybe every generation.
Mhm.
Not like every day and twice on Tuesdays. So
It's Doubleheader Tuesday coming out and destro y'all land.
no death for you.
Oh,
So the next one is it Slaughter Pact?
It is.
More like Laughter Pact.
Because you can't spell slaughter without laughter. The English language is so stupid.
Oh yeah.
The problem is a bunch of it's a bunch of unrelated languages piled on top of one another.
Yeah. And then we come to
Yeah.
the two most expensive, monetary wise, invocations in the set.
Maybe.
According to the informal research I did earlier,
Oh, okay.
Thoughtseize was number 1 and Blood Moon was number 2, which I almost thought that would be reversed, but yeah. So Thoughtseize, which people play a lot, especially in modern, since it's not in standard, that would probably be preferable. And then Blood Moon, which is absolutely played in modern
And Legacy.
And
probably Vintage.
Yeah.
And then there are two cards.
The art for Blood Moon is another one that really struck me. That really had an impression on me.
So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that they release just all of these as full art somewhere.
That would be nice.
Just here's what this looks like regular size, so we can all go. Ah!
Well, if Wizards really wanted to make some money, they really need to do a compilation of the art from the cards, and they just need to release it in a book.
Yeah, they do that, Dirk.
They actually have they do?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's been an
I did not
art
realize
for-
that they did that.
Maybe not in the way that you're thinking of, where it's just an art book, but they have released stuff like about the world and creatures and people and blah 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 of Zendikar and Innistrad and Kaladesh and whatnot.
Yeah, one of the
No, I'm
announcements.
talking about just a straight art book.
Just a straight up art book.
One of the announcements from announcement week was the art of Magic the Gathering Ixalan book,
Yeah.
and
Which is coming out in
done those
January.
They've done those for, I think, if not all, then most of the planes that we've been to lately.
Yeah, they're sitting here on my floor next to my coffee table. Yeah, so it's Zendikar, Innistrad, Kaladesh, and the one for Amonkhet will actually be officially released soon after Hour of Devastation actually releases.
Oh, okay, cool. So there you go. But, okay, so next up we have, I'm going to skip around a bit. There are two here that would have made Clues happy were Clues on the last episode of Monday Night Magic, and that's Boil and Choke. Because Clues is not a fan of the blue cards, but the art on Boil is another one that's just so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like, look, I think the detail on this one is one that you really need to see full size.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we hate your lands, especially if they're islands. Screw you, islands.
Exactly.
Then there's Shatterstorm, and I like this art a lot too. I like all these arts, but yeah.
So is it the base of the obelisks are being destroyed?
Looks like
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Start at the bottom, then you don't have to worry about the top. That takes care of itself.
He's not wrong.
Gravity is a fickle mistress, isn't it?
I think it's pretty predictable. Fickle implies that it might do something different next time. There's only one green invocation this time. That's interesting.
Huh, how about that? I mean, green doesn't have much in the way of blow up everything, so...
Yeah, utter despair.
Yeah. So then we've got Through the Breach.
Which is an interesting one, doing that instead of, I don't know, sneak attack or something, because then you have this one card here that has Splice onto Arcane. And I know that this isn't really a set, so you can have one of mechanics, but you might go like, what?
Yeah, well, that's for the modern players. Like, anyone who plays Modern knows exactly what Through the Breach does, so...
True.
So that's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, Dirk, what's the next one?
Lord of Extinction.
Now, I read this, and I'm like, I know this card, but this art is so cool that I literally could not remember what the original art looked like. I had to go look it up.
I do like the original art a lot, but this is definitely something else. So
Yeah.
And then when I did look it up, I was like, oh, it was that big green mouth thing.
Yeah, the flying thing that doesn't have flying.
Yeah.
yeah, I was actually literally looking at the invocation and going, "This doesn't say flying." It's like, but I don't play with Lord of Extinction. Probably because I don't have one. If I had one, I'd play it because, geez.
And then
Yeah,
someone would block it with a goblin token and he'd be like, no. And they'd be like, yes. And he'd be like, what?
Well, the good thing is this one definitely does not appear to have flying. It just looks like something incredibly scary is coming your way.
Yeah, and again, it fits with the theme of despair. Everything is broken, and I love it. Okay, and then the last 3 are going to be the new gods from this set, and we'll get to them in due time. So,
I assume that's what they are.
yeah, they
Yes,
said that they
are.
were leaving out those 3. And there's one listed here because it was previewed on Monday. But every time they've done the article revealing the new god, they've also shown the masterpiece version.
Yeah.
So do we want to do the mechanics next?
Yeah, probably.
All right. So they have taken Embalm and they've twisted it around and turned it into Eternalize. And I actually kind of like this because I feel like if you get what Embalm does, you get what Eternalize does a lot. So just as a review, Embalm says, hey, if this creature's in your graveyard at sorcery speed, pay this cost, exile this creature card, and you get a token that's a copy of this card, except it's also white. Or no, it's only white. It eliminates whatever color it was before, and it's a zombie. But everything else about it is the same. Oh, it has no mana cost. Everything else about it is the same. Eternalize says, all right, well, this is the army of invincible zombie warriors that Nicol Bolas has been building up. So they are on creature cards. They have a mana cost. And at sorcery speed, if it's in your graveyard, you pay the cost and you exile it. And you get a token copy of that card. Sounds really familiar. But wait, because it's Eternalize. Number 1, it's black, not white. Number 2, it is still going to be a zombie. It has no converted mana cost. And the biggest difference is, whereas with Embalm, you kept the original creature's stat, power, and toughness, here it's a 4/4, regardless of whatever it was. And they have expressly stated in this article and in some of the preview cards that we will hopefully get to, all of the creatures with Eternalize are going to be printed with smaller stats than 4/4. So the 4/4 will be an upgrade, and a lot of them have abilities that get better or key off of having bigger stats. Aside from just being better, obviously bigger's better, they also have effects that tie into that. So that is Eternalized. Did I summarize that pretty well and succinctly?
Mm-hmm.
You summarized it pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know about succinctly, but yeah,
Well, for me. So
sure.
I've done worse. You know it. We're not arguing about that. So what's next?
I like 4/4s.
Yeah.
Good.
My first reaction
nothing
to
to laugh at.
Ah.
my first reaction to Eternalize was that it seemed a little silly to be piling it on top of Embalm, but there's nothing wrong with it. But it did seem a little silly at first glance to have another more different exile this from the graveyard and make a token copy mechanic.
I definitely agree with you there, but I do like what they've done, at least with the story elements. So, But yeah, it is a little like, So what's the next ability there, Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
You like,
the next
you like
ability-
being aggro.
Yeah, I do. And the next ability is Afflict. And it's pretty cool. Afflict is a keyword ability that comes with a number. Afflict 1, Afflict 2, Afflict 3, whatever. And what it does is it always appears on creatures. And when the creature becomes blocked, the defending player loses life equal to the Afflict number. So like this Kenra Eternal that they use as an example, it's probably the simplest version of an Afflict card.
Mm-hmm.
Just for 1 and a black, it's a 2/2 zombie jackal warrior, and it has Afflict 1. That means when you attack with him, either your opponent can let it through unblock, take 2, or block it with something and still end up losing 1 life anyway.
Right.
And, this is one of the simplest versions of it. It's just a simple common, a 2/2 guy. But we will see creatures with Afflict that also do something when they aren't blocked.
Right.
So your opponent has to think about which way they want to get hurt less.
And this is an interesting mechanic for me because it's not very, the surface, it's not very Johnny-ish. It's fairly straightforward. But from a limited standpoint, I kind of like it because it pushes toward more aggressive gameplay. You're not going to have some of the same board stalls you'll have in an environment without this, because this really helps put the pressure on. And if this is one of those situations where you've got the 2/2 with Afflict and they have a 0/3 wall, in most games without the Afflict, you're just going to stare at each other. But this says I'm still keeping you on the clock because even if you block, we're still getting a little bit through. So it makes for a little tighter, a little faster gameplay. And I know that was a concern with Amonkhet when they had a lot of mechanics, except for Exert, that slowed the game down. So, okay. Makes sense.
I've only seen one Afflict card that actually does a thing that's really neat. But granted, I haven't looked since Monday.
Mhm.
Okay.
Other than just give them the choice. And it's one of the promos.
It is.
Yeah, the Wildfire Eternal.
Yeah.
Which, while we're talking about it, Wildfire Eternal, 3 in a red, 1/4. So, that's lame. But it has Afflict 4!
Woo.
4!
Well, then, I guess I'll just not block and take 1 then.
Well, the
Seems
problem
like the
is...
sensible play, right?
The problem is when it attacks and isn't blocked, you can cast an instant or sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost. Just free card.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
a
what-
really neat choice.
This is why it costs 4. So,
Mhm.
It's also the buy a box promo.
buy a
which
box
is-
promo. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. In case anyone cares. So,
Yeah.
uh,
That's a very good example of that.
what's next, Dirk?
The next one is, in terms of the mechanics, is Exert.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Bringing it
And
down.
the new thing happening here is that instead of just, choosing to exert when something attacks and then getting something.
Which we
Now
do have
you can
some
also-
of those. We do still have some of those.
Yeah, there are some of those. But now there are also
But-
creatures with activated abilities that do something special if you exert the creature while you activate it.
This is a really good example of that as well. This
Yeah,
green one they got here.
Yeah, the example they give here, the Oasis Ritualist is a Naga Druid. It's a 2/4 for 3 and a green. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Or you could tap it and exert it to get 2 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. And remember, exert just means that it doesn't untap during your next untap step.
Right. And you can actually pile multiple instances of that into one turn
Mm.
because it doesn't say skip your next untap step. It just says during your next untap step, this doesn't untap. So if you tap him, get 2 mana, and then use a spell to untap him, and then exerting him the first time, and then go ahead and exert him again,
Mm.
you're not missing out on untapping him twice. So, yeah.
Nothing
not
like that
cov-
4 mana jump there.
Not covered in this article are a cycle of rare instants and sorceries that have some sort of big effect, but also exert your lands. And we'll talk about what that means when we come to them later.
Oh, do they actually say exert your lands?
They don't.
They
But
don't,
the
but
concept is that you're kind of exerting yourself to cast them.
Ah,
Right.
okay, got it. I didn't think they did, but I was confused.
Right. Thematically, that's what's happening. So,
Okay.
and then what's this
I heard-
last one here?
I
Chewy?
heard someone call it like the overexert mechanic, and I was like, "That's dumb." So if that was you, I apologize, but that's dumb.
I have not heard that. So.
The last thing is they're bringing back deserts. There were
Mhm.
deserts in the last set. What, just 4 or 5 of them, or something like that? 6?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I don't know if it was that many, but yeah.
It was some number.
It was like 3 or 4, but it was a couple takes on it.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4, and there were a couple cards that cared about them.
Right.
Right, yeah. But now, in the very first thing we saw was a cycle of basic cycling, monocolored lands, like the cycling lands from Onslaught, sort of. They have the desert type, they enter the battlefield tapped, and they tap for 1 mana of whatever color, and then you can cycle them for 1 mana of whatever color.
And by whatever, he means a specific color, not
Yeah,
one of
like
any
the-
color. Yeah,
The one that goes with red taps for red and cycles for 1 in a red.
exactly.
Yeah, and they're all Desert of the whatever the name of the god was,
Right.
which is really cool. Desert of the Fervent, Desert of the Indomitable, and it shows a busted ass temple in the background.
Yeah, it's the ruined monument of the god.
Yeah.
Monument? Is that what they were called?
Mhm,
Yep.
Monument.
And then there are cards that also care about deserts in the set as well. And specifically, a lot of them care about either if you control desert Or you have a desert in your graveyard, which I think the ones in Amonkhet just cared about whether or not you had a desert, period. So the
Yeah, and there was
flexibility
a
of
land
having
search
one.
spell that could also go get a desert.
Right. So I do like that they incorporate that as well.
So let's see. In the previous set, 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4. My bad. I forgot
that's
Cascading Cataracts, of course, isn't a desert because it has Cascading Cataracts. Idiot. Although, let's
implies
see.
water.
2 of them sacrifice the Cradle of the Accursed and Grasping Dunes.
Yep.
Actually sacrifice, so they're going to end up in your graveyard if you use
They
it
are.
properly. And then you've got the cycling ones in Hour.
Well, why don't we... This is the last mechanic. Now, interestingly enough, they did not include like brick counters in here, but there's at least one card that still uses brick counters. So I thought that was interesting. But why don't we go ahead and go to the spoiler, and instead of starting at the top, why don't we start at the bottom and finish talking about these deserts, because there's a couple other ones here.
Oh, hey,
and
look
just
at that.
Finish that. So
It's a good idea.
Can I just say I really like the art on Desert of the Glorified. I don't know why. Something about like the ruin and the age and the misery on that one just comes through a lot more than on the others.
Yeah, I agree. Because you're closer up to the monument itself.
Yeah.
You see more detail of the damage.
All of them feel very mournful. We had been predicting that the Gatewatch may not, win this one, and it really seems like that's probably the case. Really makes me wonder, though, if there's going to be anything left of this plane at all when Bolas is done.
Yeah, and it also makes me wonder, and this is something Brian and I talked about yesterday too, how is completely destroying the plane after this part of Bolas's plan, and why is it important to his plan?
Right, because if you've got a cheesecake factory, well, not like the restaurant, but if you've got a factory that produces cheesecakes, and you like those cheesecakes, these are like eternal cheesecakes. They are much better than your average cheesecake, and it's churning them out. Do you just say, all right, I have 40 cheesecakes, that's enough, let's tear this sucker down?
And that's awful. Sorry.
I know. One should never perpetuate violence against cheesecakes. But so an example of a desert here, is this a rare? Oh, it's a rare.
Yeah.
That is, it's a desert, but it's not part of this monocolored cycle. It's the hostile desert. And it's a land, it's rare, and you can tap it to add a waste mana to your mana pool, a colorless mana, or you can pay 2 generic and exile a land card from your graveyard to wake it up, and it becomes a 3/4 elemental creature until end of turn. It's still land, so it's a man land, but
That's
it's got to
really weird manland activation, though. I like it.
But that's cheap.
It's cool.
That is super cheap. 2 mana for a 3/4. Obviously, you have to keep feeding lands into your graveyard, but yeah, I mean, let's not forget, with everything else going on, this is still technically a graveyard centric block. So
Yes.
that makes sense. And there's another one here too, also rare. I thought this other one was an uncommon. Okay.
Yeah, the Scavenger Grounds is a desert. It taps for colorless. But you can pay 2, tap it, and sacrifice a desert. Maybe this one, maybe another one. Exile all cards from all graveyards.
Yeah. Now, I haven't been to a standard tournament in a while. I was thinking about going to one a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't work out. But pretty much since Aether Revolt came out, I have not been to maybe more than one standard tournament. I know, bad me. But when I have been building decks, I was actually looking for what is a good way to combat Delirium, especially when Delirium was very popular before they went ahead and banned Emrakul. There was shockingly little in the way of graveyard removal in Standard because they didn't really want to hose the Delirium decks.
Yeah, just nothing.
And this set actually gives us a couple of good answers to the graveyard. So I'm like, well, look at that. So those are the deserts. That's what we have for lands as of today. And we are done with the mechanics. How do we want to approach the rest of these? Should we start looking at mythics and things that really jump out at you, or should we start going down, or how do we want to do this, guys?
I say yes.
Say yes. Do we want to go ahead and cover the gods and Bolas, because they are kind of like the everybody's just saying, get to the gods,
Well, actually, since you brought it up when we're talking about mechanics, let's go to the artifacts and look at the card that still uses brick counters.
Sure.
So the Sunset Pyramid costs 2. It's an uncommon artifact. It enters the battlefield with 3 brick counters on it. So someone's already finished building it. You can pay 2, tap it, and remove a brick counter from Sunset Pyramid to draw a card. Or you can pay 2 and tap it to scry 1.
Read the flavor text.
Decades to build, hours to demolish.
Hours.
Hours. I see what they
Hours.
did there.
Yeah.
But actually, that's really powerful. That's some really cheap card draw, even if you only get to do it 3 times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love the flavor here, coupled with the art.
Mhm.
You're taking this thing that, they had constructed and just tearing it down. And I'm wondering if we're going to have any more cards like this where it's the reverse of Amonkhet, where you get these structures with brick counters, maybe 3, because that was the most that the ones in Amonkhet needed, and take them away. But because I found it really weird that it was not included in the mechanics article when they turned right back around and on Monday showed us this. So I'm like, okay. So this may be a one-off, or there might be others. We'll have to see.
Maybe.
Well, since we're in artifacts, hey, Chewy, have you seen the Mirage Mirror?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, what's it do?
It destroys formats. The Mirage Mirror for 3 mana is an artifact. It's rare. And when you look in it, then you're blue in the reflection.
Well, you see your eternal form, basically.
Sure, whatever. For 2 mana, just 2, Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn.
Or land. Or land. That's interesting.
Yeah, this is immediately
Flexible.
people started vomiting out all of these ridiculous ideas.
Yeah. Like the Orland part makes it a new
The dark
piece
depths.
for a weird Dark Depths deck. Yeah.
Yep.
Because Thespian Stage is so for plebs.
Thespian Stage, you have to work a little bit. This is just like, nah.
Yeah, it's 2 mana, giant Merit Lodge. Good, sold.
Well, that's what Thespian Stage says. 2 mana giant Merit Lodge.
Yeah, but this is cooler because it's new. Shut up, Mike.
This doesn't take up a land slot. Jeez.
Oh, you
Or
can
maybe-
play
or-
Mirage Mirror and Dark Depths on the same turn without shenanigans. There we go. Got it. Got there.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah, you can't really exactly play Dark Depths and Thespian Stage in the same turn, usually. Enchantment's another interesting one to just get. And I love how flexible it is, because you can literally play this and pass and keep up 2 mana, and then if something happens and say, like, Mike's got a fecundity and somebody blows up the world, I can go, in response, my Mirage Mirror is now a copy of Mike's fecundity. Score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are your blocks? Okay. I'm going to copy Dirk's Glorious Anthem.
Darksteel Colossus.
Okay, fine.
Light Steel Colossus. Well, and since we're on artifacts, I mentioned the Graveyard Hate with the desert. Here's another one, and this time it's at uncommon, the Crook of Condemnation. For 2 generic, it's an artifact, uncommon. 2 abilities. First one, you can pay 1 and tap it to exile target card from a graveyard, so it's point removal. It's not, the opponent doesn't get to pick, you get to pick. So that's pretty good. And then it has a second ability, pay 1 and exile the Crook to exile all cards from all graveyards. So this feels a lot like the Relic of Progenitus, and that card does some work. So I like it.
I just like that this is the thing when you're on stage and you're bombing. This is the thing that rips you off the stage.
This is the hook.
And if you pay, if you exile it, it rips the entire stage out of existence.
I gotta say, I didn't think of that. That's cute.
Anytime I see a crook, that's what I think of, because I grew up watching, Looney Tunes cartoons. So, yeah. All right. So, should we get to the big man himself?
We should get to the big man himself. Hey, look, 4 abilities and 4 planeswalkers. Blah. 4 abilities and 4 co-hosts.
Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Hang on. I think. Yeah, I can't tell who is the best for these. So just who wants to go first?
The first one has the most words, so Mike should do it.
All right. So
Well,
the first ability.
Who is this? I guess
I was about to tell the good people. The first ability on Bolas, God Pharaoh, is, oh, by the way, he costs 4 blue, black, and a red, so a total of 7, which is a little cheaper than we usually get our Bolases.
From the one example we've had before.
From the 2 examples, the Planeswalker and the Dragon.
Oh, sick.
Yes. Mike's old school and he wants to remind me. I understand. OG Bolas. How many loyalties does he start out with?
7, because he's Bolas, so of course it's 7.
Okay.
So the first ability is +2. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a non-land card. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost.
Brilliant.
You can't whiff. You're going to hit something. And it's +2. 2! Ugh.
I mean, you can totally whiff. You turn up a counter spell and go, oh. Of course, that means then that you have a free counter if they try to counter anything of yours this turn.
Yes.
Well, and they don't get it. It's exiled. At the very least, you're stripping it away from them.
That is true.
Yeah. All right. His next ability is a +1. Each opponent exiles 2 cards from his or her hand. 2.
Each.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, hey, look, this guy's actually decent for multiplayer. Because a lot of times, Planeswalkers in multiplayer are actually kind of tough.
Stupid.
Yeah. Well, because, you get 1 activation per round, and then you have that many people looking to kill it. So that's actually really strong. And again, even in a single player game or a one-on-one, 2 cards adds up really fast. Like if you're making them discard 1 card a turn, they at least stay on parity. But with 2 cards a turn, they're just going to run out fast.
Yeah,
so that's a plus.
Bill pointed out that at 7 mana, essentially, this says each opponent exiles their hand. Because how many cards do they really have left at this point?
Probably not 3 or 4. Yeah. So that's the +1. Dirk, what is this next ability?
So at a negative -4, Bolas, God Pharaoh, deals 7 damage to target opponent or creature an opponent controls.
So is this him just reaching over and smacking you?
Yup.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a smack as opposed to like a fist bump straight to the nose.
I mean, if you go back to the Invocations and look at the art for Damnation, I think that's a tail swipe. That's just 7
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 7 damage is nothing to laugh at. Because that knocks out... God, that knocks
Unless you're
out...
Bolas, then you laugh and laugh and laugh.
Laugh and laugh. Now, remember, I think I pointed this out on Monday Night Magic, too. It says target opponent or a creature, but what it also says that it doesn't spell out is target Planeswalker.
Yeah.
Because you could just, hey, Jace.
Yeah, because you choose an opponent and then you just redirect the damage to one of the Planeswalkers.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's a thing that might not occur to people at first read, so I have to say it out loud.
And I'm glad you did, because I was having the same thought.
Yeah.
So does this guy have a limit break?
Yeah, that actually was not the limit break. The limit break is at -12. And it says exile each non-land permanent your opponent's control. What?
It's not, in terms of rudeness, it's not quite on the same level as Karn's limit break. Start over, but,
I'm keeping
I
all
get
your
some
stuff.
He leaves you your lands. You can try and rebuild, but, by the time this goes off, you're just going to probably lose anyway. So, because all your stuff is gone.
Does it feel like that this card should have an arch enemy deck built around it?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because there is, but not with this card. But I could see substituting this for the original Bolas Planeswalker card.
It's just that it doesn't say each; it just says your opponents.
Yeah. This again, it's built. You can tell that there's some serious multiplayer aspects here.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, that first ability +2 only targets one opponent, but you're going to target whoever has something that you think you want. So he's the marquee for the set. he's been, his face has been all over the packaging. And even before we came to Amonkhet, we knew that Bolas was going to be a presence here. Do we think this lives up to the hype?
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
What was that card in Aether Revolt that referenced playing a Bolas Planeswalker?
Dark Intimations.
Dark Intimations. What does that do when you play it? Dark?
When you play it, it does stuff. But then when you cast a Bolas Planeswalker spell, you can exile Dark Intimations from your graveyard. And if you do, that Planeswalker comes in with an extra loyalty counter.
So he's even closer to his limit break. Or if you want to, like, -4 him in the next turn, just -4 him.
Yeah.
You can do that.
He's so badass.
He is. I kind of almost feel like there's almost nothing else to say just because he's so good and you just want to activate these abilities. Pick one. If you can do it, it's probably the right move. There's no bad choices here. It's Nicol Bolas. And while I find that really impressive, I don't find that there's really much else to say because just play him.
I wonder if some people are going to start jamming Oath of Nissa and Tron decks again and try to cast him. I remember hearing about some people trying that after Oath of Nissa was printed with the original Nicol Bolas. They didn't get much success, but I bet it was really fun.
Well, this is definitely a very good reason to try. Yeah. All right. So shall we cover... Do we want to cover this other Planeswalker real quick?
Sure.
She's right here. So you remember... is it Samut? Samut? It's not Samus. That's somebody else.
Samut is how I would say it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Samus the Tested, yeah.
So
she's in her Zero suit.
In Amonkhet, she was that really kick-ass legend that, was basically Our Lady of Keywords again. And apparently, and I had mentioned before we went to Amonkhet, or as Amonkhet previews were starting, that I wanted to see a Planeswalker from this location in the story. Like, what would that look like? And it looks like this is her. And if you've been following the story, her faith in the gods has been completely demolished, and she didn't know what to believe. And she found evidence that Nicol Bolas was not who he said he was, or who they all believed he was. And apparently, that has transformed her into this form we see here. I'm sure some other personal tragedy is on the way, because that's how you get your spark lit up. So probably rough times ahead for her. But here she is as Samut the Tested. 4 mana Planeswalker. Always got to look out for those. For 2 and a red and a green, she comes in with 4 loyalty. Has a +1. Up to 1 target creature gains double strike until end of turn. That seems pretty good. -2, she deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 target creatures and or players. Compared to Nicol Bolas' 7, that may not seem that great, but she can split it up, and she's going to come down much, much faster. So there's that. I feel like the ability to split up, she can at least protect herself a little bit. And then finally, -7. Search your library for up to 2 creature and or planeswalker cards. Put them onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library.
Oh my.
In the story, she's not really aligned with Nicol Bolas, but pretty sure this card would get along really well with the God Pharaoh.
I was just about to say, keep in mind that if you use that to go get Nicol Bolas, be careful because the flavor police might come and arrest you.
But that's okay. You'll just deal him 7, and he'll be all right.
Exactly. It's just...
But aside from Nicol Bolas, obviously, there's any number of awesome creatures you could go get with this, or planeswalkers. This feels pretty solid. She can't make tokens to defend herself, and dealing the damage is a minus ability. But still, double strike, giving something double strike every turn has the potential to be really, really good.
Yeah. Plus ability too.
Yeah.
Wake up, Dirk.
Sorry. Well, I'm just thinking that double strike is being able to give, like what Brian said and Mike said, that double strike is nothing to laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
And for this planeswalker to do that, just someone's going to get beaten up by this.
Yeah, I mean, even just giving like a 2/2 double strike just wrecks all the math.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a big difference.
if you give a creature with afflict double strike, afflict does not trigger twice. Afflict just triggers when
it's
they are
blocked.
blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So important note.
Although
But
it
that
is good to know that you're making the math that much harder for them when it comes to blocking or not.
Yeah, exactly. Because you might be considering blocking and at least absorbing some of that damage, but if it means that whatever you block with is going to die, but then if you don't block it, you're taking that damage twice. So, yeah, talk about making a bad situation worse for your opponents.
Yeah, and screw those people.
Yeah, they should know better than to play against you. So
Repairing, sit down.
So we've covered Nicol Bolas, and I went ahead and took Samet. There are 3 other gods, so since I've already talked about
Have all
Samet,
3 been revealed?
the last one was revealed today.
Oh, sweet.
And
Okay.
Oh, in an article. Yeah, we don't have a link up for it right now.
Well, I put a link up for the daily update,
and it's in
and
there?
if you it is number 6 on that list.
Okay.
So Mike, have you seen this yet?
Oh, so we're going to that one right now?
Well, have you seen it? Because if you have,
Yes, I have.
Then why don't you go ahead and cover it real quick, and then we'll let the other guys fight over the other 2.
Well,
Okay,
no,
let me
it's a YouTube video. Can we not just see the damn card?
Well, yeah, I'll just have to forward to
you have to forward and then freeze on it.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, why don't you listen to Mike talk about it, and you can picture it in your mind. Your mind.
Well, I got to watch the first
Yeah, we got to get through
10
the stupid
seconds
ad.
of the Sky Vodka ad. Okay, let's see here. Blah, blah, blah.
There it is. It's at like
No one cares.
242.
All right, got it. Okay, so the Scarab God.
What the actual hell? I'm looking at his head, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, see, he's a Scarab God. This big old scarab right there.
Truth in advertising.
Could he not?
Well, the Scorpion God also basically is a humanoid figure with a scorpion for a head. So that seems to be the thing with these gods.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
He's
Could
like
he not?
he's one of the Mega Man enemies. You know, like the ones that was Scarab Man. You know,
you get Scarab Blaster.
No,
anyway.
Mega Man just gets to the end of the stage. He starts blasting it, and it's like, I'm a god. What are you doing?
Okay, sorry. Keep going, Mike.
All right, so there are 3 gods, and they're in different combinations of Nicol Bolas colors. The Scarab God is blue and black. He costs 3, a blue and a black, for a 5/5 legendary creature god. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. It has an activated ability. Pay 2, a blue and a black. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie.
Holy crap! He
So
just
he can
eternalizes things.
Yeah,
He
he can
eternalizes things.
eternalize things at will.
Including your opponent's stuff.
Oh my god!
Doesn't say your graveyard. Yeah.
And that only goes 4.
Yeah.
Well, 5 to play him, and then 4. But yeah,
Jesus.
he doesn't
then
have
this-
indestructible though.
Doesn't have indestructible, but this last ability is something that these 3 new forgotten gods have. When the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely nuts.
Because these gods, so the original ones were just indestructible.
Yes.
The Theros gods were just indestructible, and sometimes they weren't even creatures.
Mhm.
The original gods of Amonkhet were indestructible. They were always creatures. They were there, down with the people, and they were always gods. They were just indestructible, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
sometimes they wouldn't listen if you wanted them to attack a block.
Right. But these, you can totally kill it. They just won't stay dead.
Right.
Because they're all pests. They're
You
the
can tell
gods
them-
of pests. They're pest
You can
gods.
tell that I've been playing too much Hearthstone lately because I look at this and I'm just like polymorph. Not today.
Obey the cold.
So yeah,
So-
in his head, he needs to not. Just stop it. It's
So
really
that's the
gross.
scare. That's the Scarab God. We got 2 more.
That's the Scarab God. I think I already read the Scorpion God. So hey, can I read the Locust God?
Yes.
Where I seem to.
Sure.
Dirk.
Here
Yeah.
he is. So the Locust God also, could you not? Just looking at the art, I think Bill and I agreed when we saw this, which was a couple days, like yesterday, I think, that no, this art makes me uncomfortable for some reason. Anyway, the Locust God, for 4, a blue, and a red, is a 4/4 mythic legendary god with flying, because locusts. Whenever you draw a card, you create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
For 2, a blue, and a red, you draw a card and then discard a card. Which means for 2, a blue, and a red, you draw a card, discard a card, and get another insect bullet to shoot at people. And then, of course, when the Locust God dies, it comes back to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. It doesn't even wait for the next turn. It's just, nope, jumping right back to your hand. So yeah, that's pretty good.
You know what else is in Amonkhet? I don't know if it's in this. No, we know it's here because of the lands. We have cycling.
Yes.
What cycling does is it draws you cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also that, not Pull from Eternity, that was, that blue card draw spell in the last set.
Oh, draw X cards, discard a card.
Yeah, that one.
This is whenever you draw a card, so it counts each one individually.
Pull from Tomorrow.
There you go.
Is like a really weird fireball that draws cards.
Yeah, because the tokens have haste.
Yeah.
You know, this guy and Niv Mizzet probably get along pretty well.
Pew, 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 pew.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Quick, Dirk, tell us about the Scorpion King god.
The Scorpion God for 3, black and red. Whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, draw a card. For 1 black red, put a -1/-1 counter on another target creature. When the Scorpion God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And it's a 5/3. Or sorry,
What?
I don't know where I got 5/3 from. 6/5.
That's not even.
Yeah, I was not.
So, this thing murderizes people. I mean, all of these are strong, but in a vacuum, this might be the best one just because it actually kills the others easily. Not easily, but a little more easily. Diminishing them like 3 mana at a time, and can just basically kill anything that gets in its way and draw you cards while you're doing it. So
and
I'm
even
not
if
saying
it doesn't kill them, it makes them small enough to where they can't kill
they can't
it.
do it. Exactly. So I'm not saying this one's the strongest one, but I mean in a vacuum, this one is one of the strongest ones. And he was featured fairly prominently in this week's story, and I feel like almost like there should be an M rating for this story this week.
Damn.
Mike will back me up on this one.
Like, due to nudity and drug use?
No, well, and okay, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but brutality ensues. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, individuals die kind of horribly.
Nice.
do you smell what the Scorpion God is cooking?
I mean, Razaketh died pretty horribly in one of the previous stories.
Yes, he did. Well, that was Liliana. Like, you know, she's got this hate boner for the demons that have her contract, and this one in particular was messing with her a lot. And when she's finally able to kill him, spoiler alert, she kills him. She does so in such a way that even the rest of the Gatewatch is like, that was unnecessary. And she just killed a demon.
Wait, can we go back to the term hate boner? Because it's really weird when you said Liliana has my brain said the words mad on and hard on at the same time.
Hey,
and then the words hate boner. Yeah. And then the words hate boner came out of your mouth, and I was like, am I controlling Brian's brain?
Maybe that would explain something. But actually, in this story, Razaketh senses that Liliana is nearby, and actually, with the contract that he formed with her, takes over her body and makes her do stuff she doesn't want to do. And if there's anything she hates, it's lack of control over her fate and her destiny, and that's why she wants to kill these demons and basically get out of her contract. So she didn't take very kindly to that when she was able to break out of it. And you should read the story for the full take on it. But that one's another one that's pretty brutal. We do have the card for Razaketh up. Do we, as of the update today, and I have it open. Do you want to hear all about him?
Sure.
Razaketh, the foul-blooded. You've seen it? You've seen this card?
I have not seen this card.
All right. Do you have the link?
Oh wait, I did see this card somewhere. Damn.
This is the foul-blooded for Gristlebrand mana, 5 and 3 black. It's an 8/8 legendary demon.
Well, Gristlebrand is 4 and 4 black.
Is he 7? I thought he cost 8.
No, 4 and 4 black.
4 and 4 black.
Okay, so yes, so 8 mana. Legendary demon, flying and trample. Pay 2 life, sacrifice another creature. Demonic tutor. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Any card at all. And shuffle your library. It doesn't have quite the same panache as pay 7 to draw 7, and you have to have another creature around. But you don't draw 7 cards, you draw the 1 card that you want. And you also do that as many times as you want, as long as you've got the 2 life and the body to sack. At instant speed.
I did not catch. There's a lot of things that this card doesn't say.
It doesn't say lifelink.
It also doesn't say use this only when you could cast a sorcery.
Correct.
But my brain just inserted that whole block of text because otherwise, damn. But it turns out, no, it's actually damn.
And you want to know what really likes to be sacrificed? Creatures with Embalm or Eternalize.
I see what you've done.
And if you get out of this block, you're turning on Revolt at the same time. I'll just sack this thing and I'll search my library. I'll get, I don't know, what's this thing do? Tragic Slip, what's that do? Does something like Fatal Push, Tragic Slip, whatever. You know what I mean? Or technically Tragic Slip also.
Both.
So, yeah, seems pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, this card's
very exciting.
Pretty nuts.
Okay. Shall we look at other mythics from the set? I don't see any in white yet. I'm sure there'll be one later, but I don't see any in white yet.
Not yet.
Any in blue?
Yeah, there's one that JT was waffling about on Facebook. Because you guys know,
Waffle.
You might not. JT has a Sphinx deck. Sphinx
Yes, I
Commander
did know
that he's very happy about. But he saw this and he said, "Do I have to make my Sphinx deck mono blue now?"
Well, I think you can include this. It doesn't have to be your commander.
It's a really good commander, though.
It's a really good
Kind of
commander,
wants to be.
Yeah.
but if he's using a blue and white Sphinx, then he may just want to keep the other one. And there's any number of ways I'm sure he could tutor this thing up.
Yeah, it's easy to go get it.
Yeah, so it's Unesh. Is that Cryosphinx or Cryosphinx?
I don't know.
I would say Cryo.
Yeah, I would too, actually.
Because
So-
Cryo makes it sound like
Probably
there's a
better.
Y. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes it sound like he's frozen, and he doesn't do that. Yeah,
No.
Cryogenic Sphinx Sovereign for 4 blue is a 4/4 mythic legendary Sphinx with flying because Sphinx. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Hey,
And
Dirk,
Oh man.
what if it costs 2 less?
And most Sphinxes cost upwards of 5 or 6 mana, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and then whenever Unesh Cryosphinx Sovereign or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand and the other into your graveyard. What's that called?
It's called Fact or Fiction, except it's not 5 cards, it's 4, but you're getting to pick.
Yeah.
Like
The thing that they try not to do anymore is on
Yeah,
the Sphinx.
because when they printed Steam Augury, it was the fixed Fact or Fiction because you didn't pick the cards, your opponent did.
Yeah.
So this is just like, nah, you can do it. I mean, you have to cast a Sphinx to do it, but
True. Luckily, they're cheaper.
luckily they're cheaper, and you can always, at the very least, get this one. Seems good. All right, we just did.
Damn.
Looks like the only mythic in black thus far is the demon we just did. Red.
Oh, yeah,
red
red has one.
Red has one. Mike, what do you think of this guy?
Just let me find it. So, we remember Neheb the Worthy from Amonkhet, and apparently Neheb was truly worthy enough to pass the final trial, because now we have Neheb the Eternal. For 3 and 2 red, Neheb is a 4/6, and they had to use the tiny text on the type line.
They did.
Legendary creature, zombie, minotaur, warrior. There you go. So this can go in like any tribal deck ever. Has afflict 3. So if it gets blocked, the defending player loses 3 life. But at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add a red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn.
Which will be at least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it gets blocked, and possibly an incredible amount of mana.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just adding 3, the jump from 5 to 8 is huge. You could go from playing this guy to next turn playing Bolas.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably what Bolas wants.
Yeah.
Because his flavor text is, "This is what glory looks like." Nicol Bolas.
Pay attention, class. Interesting that he's actually a 4/6, although not all the afflict creatures do not have to be 4/4s. So, just ooh.
Yeah, clearly being worthy gets you +2/+4. You lose your first strike, but you get afflict 3. That's going back to the original card.
I find it funny that the card right beside of it is Open Fire, which costs 3.
Hey!
Because again, with afflict 3, that means they would take 3 damage, so you would add 3 red mana to your mana pool, and Open Fire costs 3. It's 2 and a red. It's an instant. Open Fire deals 3 damage to target creature or player, so that means, okay, you blocked it. It's going to take 4. The player took 3, and this is going to deal 3 damage to either the player or the creature.
It's interesting. Open Fire is interesting because this is Lightning Bolt, but it is what they feel Lightning Bolt should be costed at right now. And they play around with these costs, and they're not saying this has to be what Lightning Bolt is going forward. This is what they feel this effect should cost in this environment. So interesting. That's what if it costs 2 more?
Then it might be somewhat fair.
Right.
And there aren't
still a little
any...
warning that we can't get Lightning Strike instead, but oh well.
Yeah, it's
Searing Spear.
Nope, but apparently 2 mana is not quite enough for this. So, because you've got other options like Disintegrate and whatnot. I'm trying to look at Uncage the Menagerie, which is on today's spoiler, and on today's thing, and I can't tell if that's a mythic or not. Just to see if there are other mythics that we haven't covered yet.
I don't even know.
Might be. It's so weird.
Yeah, the problem is that it's how it's presented. It's in a video by Loading Ready Run.
Oh, of course.
It's another one of the things in the daily update list.
Right.
Gotcha.
There's nothing else in the visual spoiler that is mythic. So
wait, what is that one called?
it is called.
It's mythic.
The Menagerie. Yeah, it's mythic.
Is it okay? What to do?
Okay. So for X green, it's a sorcery that says search your library for up to X creature cards with different names that each have converted mana cost X. What? X creature cards with different names that each have converted mana cost X, and you're paying X green. Got it. Reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle. So if you pay 3 green, you go find up to 3 guys with different names that all cost 3.
Yes.
So that's one that gets progressively more stupid the more mana you put into it.
Yeah. But it's not XX.
Curious about where it stops working. Like, I'm pretty certain there are more than 8 distinct creatures that cost 8. But are there more than 9 distinct creatures that cost 9?
I don't know. I'm hoping you're not doing that in sealed, at least. But
Great. Now I have to look. Equals 9. Add. Type. Creature. Add. Search. All right, let's see if we break Gatherer. There are 36 things that cost 9.
Okay, good.
So, yes. What about 10? There are 19 creatures that cost 10. Really? Wow.
I wouldn't have thought that.
This is also counting Infernal Spawn of Evil, but
That
it
counts.
looks like that's the only...
If you're playing Uncage the Menagerie, then you're a very silly person. So that's fine.
All right, one more. Let's go to... We're gonna... These go to 11. There are 9 things that cost 11. Ding! Found the limit. And they go in your hand, so this doesn't actually do you much good.
But if you have that much mana, if you lying around to cast it for X equals 11, then you might have
That is
enough
a good
mana
point.
to do other things.
Just because I went to the effort to look it up, here we go. Darksteel Colossus, Hypnox, Metalwork Colossus, Mycosynth Golem, Pathraiser of Ulamog, Polar Kraken, Primeval Protector, Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, and World Spine Worm. Just in case you were curious. Ugh. So, okay. There's a cycle we absolutely have to talk about.
Do we really?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's super important, and Mike knows.
It's super important story-wise. So the cards themselves
Are still really good. What?
very situational.
No.
Incredibly situational.
No.
Well, okay, yeah, they are each a color hoser. So
I mean, they're sideboard color hoser cards, but
Yeah.
they're not
Yes.
as narrow as you're making them out to be.
I'm not even considering the second half of that. That's fairy tale land. I'm saying even the first one.
That's what I'm saying. They're not as narrow as you're
You
making
never
them out to
ever main deck these ever.
Mhm.
So,
maybe.
but they are very important for the story, regardless of how you feel about them. So,
Yes, they are the defeats, and these are brutal.
they're extremely efficient for their cost if your opponent is playing the right color. Extremely efficient.
Yeah. So hey, let's see. Hey, Dirk, why don't you read Gideon's defeat?
Well, Gideon's defeat for 1 white is an instant. It's uncommon. Exile target white creature that is attacking or blocking. If it's a Gideon Planeswalker, you gain 5 life.
Because the Gideon's Planeswalker thing is that, he turns into a dude, runs over and slugs you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gideon, how easy it must be to play the protector when you think yourself untouchable. How wrong you are. All of these are quotes by Bolas about
the best flavor text ever.
here's what's wrong with you and why you're losing.
So yeah, he just casually gets rid of Gideon. That's a thing. Let's go to blue. Hey, Brian, what's a blue one do?
Jace's defeat for 1 and a blue. It's an instant. They're all in common. Counter target blue spell. If it was a Jace Planeswalker spell, scry 2. So it's a flash freeze? No, there's a blue spell that basically does this. For 1 and a blue, counter a blue spell. And then if it happens to be Jace, you get to scry 2. As I was saying, you're almost never gonna get that second part to trigger, but hey, if it does, that's great. I had hoped for more from you, Jace, but I expected as much. Dang. But Jace is one of the only ones here. Like, as far as we know, as far as we can tell, Gideon has never faced Bolas. Nissa has never faced him. Jace and Liliana have actually come in contact with him before. And then Chandra, I don't think has. So, but like when Bolas is speaking here, he's speaking from experience. And when Jace actually met him the first time, Jace was trying to basically protect Tezzeret's mind from Bolas, and Bolas was talking to him the whole time in his mind while also probing Jace's mind for weaknesses, and like almost crushed his psyche. So he knows Jace pretty well. So
Pretty well.
yay, counterspells.
So hey, Mike,
Hey,
what's Liliana's defeat?
Olive oil.
Liliana's
Got it. No, that's Mike's defeat by Liliana.
That was a Chandra joke, mind you.
That's
Anyway,
very true, yeah.
That's true.
It applies either way, though. Let's just be clear.
It does, yeah. Let's be honest. Liliana's defeat costs 1 black. It's a sorcery. Destroy target black creature or black planeswalker. If that permanent was a Liliana planeswalker, her controller loses 3 life.
Interesting that it says her instead of its.
Yeah, because it's talking about a distinctive character, so they'll sometimes, I guess with planeswalk,
They
that's
still
interesting.
usually just call it because it's a card, but interesting. All the power you have gathered for yourself, Liliana, I can take away. Damn.
Yeah, dude. Bolas is a cold dude.
Yeah, he is. In the story, he hasn't even found his way to Amonkhet yet. All this other stuff is happening before he even gets there.
Yeah. So it's gonna get bad. The red one is Chandra's Defeat. For a single red, it's an instant. It deals 5 damage to target red creature or red planeswalker. If that permanent is a Chandra planeswalker, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Seems good.
Yeah. Fire. Is that your only trick, Chandra? And it's really kind of...
The answer is yes, by the way.
Well, her response is wasn't there that card in either Aether Revolt or Kaladesh where it might have been Eldritch Moon where Gideon says to Chandra on a burn spell, he's like, "What's your plan?" And she says, "Seriously?" Because it's light everything on fire. But I think the despair of this one probably struck me more than the others. While all of them have, you can tell, are very dark. I think it's really telling, even seeing her without her hair on fire. And she just looks extinguished. And while these others, like you see Bolas's finger assaulting Gideon, he's a little more removed. And this one, she's literally in the palm of his hand. And you can just kind of picture him just going squish. So it's very dark and almost a little disturbing.
A little?
Yeah.
No, okay.
And then there's the green one. Nissa's Defeat for 2 and a green. Sorcery uncommon. Destroy target forest, green enchantment, or green planeswalker. If that permanent was a Nissa planeswalker, draw a card.
Yeah, this one is my... I think this one is my favorite as far as versatility. Because it hits the forest, the enchantment, or the planeswalker. Just...
Yeah, because it can't kill a creature the way that most of these others can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because green just doesn't do it that way.
the soul of this world is gone, Nissa, and I would gladly kill it again.
That might be the coldest one of the Bolas quotes.
I really don't care about individuals or entire planes of existence.
And see, that quote sort of makes it feel that this planes is done.
Yeah.
This plane's not going to survive this encounter with Bolas.
There's a pretty good chance.
We will likely not have a return to Amonkhet.
Or this one.
Well, isn't that what the name of the plane is?
Well, I'm in Ket. Close enough.
Amonkhet, sorry.
Yeah. So it is. We're getting sort of late here.
Really?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Okay, we have been going until 10 or 10:30 here lately, but I would really like to not do that to poor Dirk if possible.
Yeah.
So we got an email from Julian. That's the what was this? The subject was Brian.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And Julian says, I'm building a Game of Thrones themed EDH deck with Queen Marchesa. I need to find room for Adorned Pouncer. It's Sir Pounce. Sir Pounce. I don't
Sir
know.
Pounce.
I don't know Game of Thrones, but
Basically Sir, but yeah, a knight. Except it's a cat in this instance. So, yeah, that's a reference, and that was really cute. I liked that.
so what is, Brian, the Adorned Pouncer?
The Adorned Pouncer, scroll up, is actually the first one in the visual spoiler. For 1 and a white, it is a rare cat. It's a 1/1 with double strike, and it has Eternalize of 3 and 2 white. So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about before, where as a 1/1 with double strike for 2 mana, that's okay. it's gonna trade up. Probably you're gonna kill something that hopefully costs a little more than 2 mana. But then double strike is okay on a 1/1, but a double striking 4/4 is sick. Just buh.
A double striking 4/4 for 5 mana is just a deal you do not get.
Yeah.
Especially not in white.
Yeah. Or black.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a promo. Hang on. That is the
Game Day?
Is that the Game Day top 8?
Game Day top 8. Yeah.
And that Game Day is the 8th of August. I really want that playmat. I really want that playmat.
That playmat is freaking sick. This is Bill said on Monday Night Magic. This is one that when you use it, you turn it around so it's looking at your opponent the whole time just to intimidate them.
Jeez, man.
Yes, that is very true.
Bolas is like, what?
Come at me, bro.
Exactly.
You mentioned how the hours are kind of mimicking some of the plagues of ancient Egypt, and right here is the firestorm. So
Burning hail.
Yep.
Sick.
Ugh. One card I actually wanted to mention, and it will not take very long, is the Defiant Kenra. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. For 1 and a red, it's a 2/2 Jackal Warrior. What's important was this one was spoiled on Monday before we really knew almost anything about the story, and this flavor text.
Oh, I was like, why are we
This
talking about a
flavor
2/2 for 2?
Mm-hmm.
Read the flavor
Right.
text. Read the flavor text, Chewy.
There were those who saw the death of the gods and the city's
Boom.
collapse as a final test of worth. Some believe it meant the god pharaoh had been killed. Only a few realized they had been deceived.
I feel like this card should have come with a spoiler warning, because I read this and I'm like, the death of the gods? That's pretty hardcore. Like, we knew that things were going to get bad, but jeez.
Yeah, further up, I'm going to guess that this is the cycle you were talking about. There's Bantu's Last Reckoning.
Yeah, there's Bantu's Last Reckoning and Oketra's Last Mercy, and then today was Bantu's Last... not Bantu.
Ronas' Last Stand.
Ronas' Last Stand. And this was the cycle I was referring to, so...
Yeah, so Bantu's Last Reckoning, the card itself is fine. You know, for 1 black... Actually, this is really sick. For 1 black,
Yes.
it's
This
a
is
rare
fine.
sorcery that says destroy all creatures. For 3 mana, lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So, I mean, that's really, really good. And then the flavor text says, to the last, Bantu wanted only to be the first among the god pharaoh's subjects. Like, to the last? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what was the other one that was already here?
Oketra's Last Mercy.
Yeah, what's that do? Which one
That
is
is for 1 white, Oketra's the white one.
Oh, duh,
1 white is a sorcery. Your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. And to the end, all Oketra did was for others.
Yeah, very mournful.
Yep. And then today we got the green one. I don't know if Dirk, I don't know if this was included in the links, but you know.
No, it's in one of the articles.
Well, hold on 1 second. Dirk, here you go.
Yeah, Dirk.
Why don't you tell us about this one?
All right. Renoa's Last Stand.
What?
Is it
Ronas's.
Ronas's?
Mhm.
Ronas's Last Stand for 2 green, rare sorcery. Create a 5/4 green snake creature token. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. Renoas continue to fight until his last breath and even beyond.
Jeez.
Yeah, for 2 mana, get a 5/4.
Oh, I was cheesing at the flavor text.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the story article, spoilers for those who haven't read it, Ronas is the first of the gods to get killed by the scorpion god.
Yeah.
And with his dying breath, he casts a spell to turn his spear into this big angry snake that tries to fight the scorpion god, but it still doesn't work.
it kind of gets torn up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And while we're on that note, there's the story spotlight card, 2 of 5, Hour of Glory. Have we seen a 1 of 5 as yet? I haven't seen.
Yeah, the Hour of Revelation.
Okay. All right.
In
Well,
white.
we'll come back to the Hour of Revelation in a second, but this is more on point because this shows this happening to Ronus. Hour of Glory costs 3 and a black. It's an instant rare. Exile target creature. If that creature was a god, its controller reveals his or her hand and exiles all cards from it with the same name as that creature. So it's a bit of deicide mixed with just instant speed exile.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, again, you don't have to kill a god. You can exile whatever's giving you problems. And the art shows something bad happening to Ronus. The gods believed, because they were being corrupted and controlled by Bolas, that they were going to be tested as well so that they could be found worthy of the afterlife. And the scorpion god comes out and doesn't say anything. It seems incapable of communication. Its entire purpose is to kill the other gods. And apparently it's pretty good at it.
Jesus.
So far it's 1-0.
This is really bleak, you guys. Like, I know Mike has been saying, I don't think this is going to end well for like probably a month or more now. And yet, seeing it, I'm still like, Jesus.
Well, I remember with the story at the end of Aether Revolt, they're like, let's go attack Bolas now. And I'm like, that's a dumb idea.
What are you, high?
Ajani was like, don't do it. I've faced him before. That's a bad idea. And they waited until he was out of the room. And they were like, we're totally going to go fight Bolas. You're not my dad.
You're not my real cat dad. You don't know me. You don't know my life.
So what is Hour of Revelation? That their first story card.
Ooh, the Hour of Revelation costs 3 white. Sometimes. It's a rare sorcery, and it costs 3 less to cast if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. Destroy all non-land permanents.
That's a hell of a first hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to get things started.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When this is how they kick the party off, you know that it's going to be a wild night.
Yeah, normally the gates to the afterlife just crack open a little bit to let the barge with the worthy pass through. But when the second sun hit the middle of the horns, the gates were thrown wide open. And like Brian said earlier, the people thought they were going to see the way to the afterlife, but then all they saw was the desert and the giant necropolis in the distance.
And then Rezeketh came in and said, what's up? Yeah. And destroy, I mean, the first time I read it, I think my brain said, okay, it's a wrath. And then later I was like, it's not just a wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And that's 10 non-land permanents on the battlefield. Between you and your opponent in a single player game might take you a little while to get there, but you can probably get there. In a multiplayer game, that's like turn 3. If everybody has played 1 or 2 things, like mana rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buh.
So, Dirk, have you read The Angel of Condemnation yet? It's not the condensation angel, it's the condemnation.
No, but I shall. So for 2 and 2 white.
Wait a minute. Angel of Condensation. Pay 2 white and tap. Everyone's drinks leave a ring on the table.
Pay 2. No. 2 blue.
2 blue, of course.
Is that the name of the episode?
I don't know. I don't think. I think this needs to have a somber name.
That's true. All right, so go ahead, Dirk.
Angel of Damnation.
So, Angel of Condemnation for 2 and 2 white. Rare angel creature. It's a 3/3 with flying and vigilance. All right, let me get a little bit closer for the smaller print. For 2 and a white, tap. Exile another creature, target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it's sort of a blink effect.
Yep.
Okay. Next ability underneath that. For 2 and a white, tap. extort, Angel of Condemnation, exert, Angel of Condemnation, exile another target creature until Angel of Condemnation leaves the battlefield.
Whoa, I read Exile too, and it really didn't make any sense. So exert, that's way better.
Yeah.
Well, at first Dirk said extort, which is another ability entirely.
Oh, okay. That's even more different, yeah.
Yeah.
So
you exert the angel, and you exile
So
a
it essentially
creature.
becomes an O-ring sort of effect
Yeah.
if you exert it.
they can keep getting more and more things, assuming
Yeah.
it doesn't die.
And it
So
just
it's-
blinks things if you don't exert it.
Right.
Mm.
That's neat.
And it has vigilance, so you can still do stuff with it. You can still attack with it before using one of the abilities.
This seems really good to me. A 3/3 flyer for 4 mana that, completely shuts down their tokens without even getting to the exert ability. But then you get to the exert ability and it's like, what? This seems pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
The angel says, "Hey, that's a really cool looking god you got right there. Be a shame if something happened to it."
So who wants to talk about solemnity?
Solemnity.
Solemnity, thank you.
And
Because I hear things about this card.
this is a card that makes me twitch. And I don't mean stream video games. For 2 and a white, it's a rare enchantment that says players can't get counters. Okay, let's stop right there and talk about that for a second. What sort of
Poison.
counters?
Poison.
They get poison counters, so this is anti-infect tech. That's
Energy.
pretty cool. Energy counters. This is anti-energy tech. I clocked my teeth together. Ow.
-1, -1.
No, players can't get those. What was
Experience counters.
Experience counters. That's it, right? It's those 3.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it also works in against some commander decks. Sure. So okay, but we're not done yet. It also says counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands.
It specifically doesn't say planeswalkers, probably because they don't want to shut planeswalkers down entirely.
Yeah, for 3
Because-
mana, just all your planeswalkers will die as soon as they hit the battlefield. Yeah, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Wait, or would they?
They would, because that's an effect that's how doubling season works.
Well, yeah. And
Not that it matters. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. It doesn't matter.
But if
well, no. I mean, I read something earlier that confused me because someone was implying there was some kind of open question about it, about whether it actually worked the way it's supposed to. But I think that person was overthinking it.
But obviously, I mean, this specifically does not include planeswalkers. So we get around that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
So Dirk was saying -1/-1 counters for creatures. Same goes for +1/+1 counters. And then you've got, for the other things, you've got charge counters and time counters and flood counters. Ooh, no flood counters on the Luxa.
And age counters,
like fading counters and whatnot.
like for cumulative upkeep cards.
Yeah, that's the big one that I've heard a lot of people talk about is age counters.
That could make some things act weird.
Or ice counters on Dark Depths. Jeez, Dark Depths loves this set. How appropriate that we have spaghetti monsters in the sky.
What are the? It was time. The through the ether. What was it? The ones where you put counters and they each turn they went down.
Suspend.
Oh, you're talking
Suspend
about suspend
counters.
See,
Well,
that doesn't
That's-
work because
that's built into it.
Well, no, the way Solemnity is written, it only affects permanents. It only affects stuff on the battlefield or stuff that will enter the
okay.
battlefield. So since the suspend cards are sitting out in exile while they're doing their thing, they're not affected by Solemnity.
Okay.
Right. And
But that's a good point. That's a good point.
Someone asked me that on, I think, Twitter, and I answered them properly. I'm so proud of me.
Good job. Good job. But yeah, I mean, even in standard, even in this block, oh, you like to give my stuff -1/-1 counters? Well, no.
Now, this doesn't remove any that are already there, right?
Correct.
You
This
just can't put more on.
Yes.
That's an important distinction.
No break counters.
No!
Cease your building.
I was building that, you bastards!
It's like, oh, catcher just died. Show some respect.
Put that freaking sandwich down. But yeah, this is one of those cards that could potentially be a sideboard card in various formats and, like doubling season, be this ridiculous casual card
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all at once.
Yeah. I see big things for this one. Potentially.
I mean,
And
by the time you hit 3 mana against Infect, you might be dead. So,
But if you're not, they have to remove it or they can't win. So
true. But I
There's
think
that.
Infect deals with things like that already, where you have to remove it or you can't win.
yeah.
So it would just cause more sideboarding wars. So it might not be a way to stop Infect, but I'm sure someone's going to try it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's worth a shot.
Gotta do what you can.
But I mean, just the sheer number of ways that this gets dumb. It also, like, hey, that ether vial that you're trying desperately to get to 3? Nope. Someone pointed out Glacial Chasm, and it made me go,
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a small problem.
Arcbound Ravager. Poor guy.
What about Amplify? Like the Killmouth Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, would that stop because they enter the battlefield with it? Would that stop that? I never remember how that works.
Well, yes, and yeah, remember, like you brought up with before when you were asking about doubling. Someone brought up doubling season, and I hesitated because I got confused by something I read.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if something says this creature enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, no, it doesn't.
Right.
When Solemnity is out.
Because that's considered putting the counters on a thing
Gotcha.
Yep.
for the purposes of effects that care about those things.
Right.
Sunburst. No.
So yes, Dirk, your Killmouth Dragon is just a normal dragon. It's not a vicious murder machine, you bastard.
You can only tap it to deal what? 5, 3.
No, if
whatever.
it doesn't have any counters, then that ability doesn't do anything.
Thank God I'm buying 10 of these. I've died way too many times to Killmouth dragons.
Yeah, right, because it deals damage equal to the number
The
of counters, not the
counters on it.
power, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yay.
Yeah.
And so this wouldn't have any effect on what is it, the birds that come in with like the spirit birds that have 0 attack and power, but they come in with 3 counters, and whenever they attack, whenever they're blocked, you lose a counter off of them.
The phantom creatures.
Yeah, the
the
phantom.
This would shut them down if they are not already on the battlefield. Once they're on the battlefield, if this hasn't come out yet, they're fine. They just couldn't get any new counters. But if you went to go play
So
a new
essentially,
one,
if you play them, they instantly die.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Unless
they
you've
all
got
have
like
zero,
unless you've got a glorious anthem out. Yes.
Yeah, because they all have 0 toughness, right? Like naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
You can tell Dirk's brain is still back in the Onslaught Meriden days.
Well, that was just when that was a big deal. Where
Yeah.
were things that came in with counters and all that,
Mhm.
and that's just the stuff that just is a lot. This is when we played Magic a lot more than we do now.
Yes.
Yeah, which
that
would
is the
be
case.
ever. This also does really stupid things for the kitchen persist and the other
Undying.
undying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Meaning those things can trigger forever because
Forever.
yeah.
Malaria. Who?
Yeah. Malira's advantage still is that it's a lot easier to cheat a creature out of your library than it is an enchantment. But yeah.
Yeah. But this does all this in one card, which is
Mhm.
just ridiculous.
It is. Sick.
Sack. Frickin' sack. Speaking of which, hey Dirk, you see anything on here that's just jumping out at you?
Anything
What
at all? On anything in the spoilers that we haven't already talked about?
Nah, I've been slowly going through, just as we've been going through all the stuff. No, I had gone. I saw all the defeats and laughed about them.
That is probably the appropriate response. I'm not gonna lie. There's the hey Mike, you saw the Ramunap excavator, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
What's that all about?
It's pretty cool. The Ramanup Excavator. For 2 and a green, it's a 2/3 Naga Cleric. It's rare. You may play land cards from your graveyard.
Crucible
Hey.
of Worlds.
Yeah, how much does
Yeah.
Crucible of Worlds cost?
3.
Yep.
It's a Crucible of Worlds with legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's a snake person. So no, it doesn't have legs. It's a naga.
It's
Yeah.
it's on a stick.
Yes. No, because it's a creature. Oh no. What do we call it if it doesn't have legs?
On scales.
Yeah, it's it's a Crucible of Worlds that can slither up and punch you.
Hmm.
It's Crucible of Worlds with arms.
There we go.
There we go.
We don't want the
It undeniably has 2 arms. So
you don't want the flavor police to come to your house. So there we go.
yeah.
There's new Aftermath cards. I completely missed these.
Yeah, I realized a few, like about 10, 15 minutes ago, that was another thing that didn't show up in the returning section of the mechanics article.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Probably because nothing changed. I think the only reason they mentioned Exert was because they added the new part of Exert.
yeah.
Okay.
So hey, look, there's this Simic colored one.
Yeah. Hey, Dirk.
The Simic. Oh, the reason believe.
Reason to Believe, because there's
Okay.
always the 2. in
That's a
there.
good song. It's Rod Stewart. For all you youngins out there, you should check it out.
Okay. So reason costs 1 blue, and that's scry 3. Believe is 4 and a green. It's a sorcery. Aftermath. Look at the top card of your library. Sorry, I have to
I
get.
was gonna say I can see
I have to
Dirk turning his
adjust myself
head.
so I can turn my head sideways for a second. You may put it on the battlefield if it's a creature card. If you don't, put it in your hand.
So once again, these 2
Oh.
feed into each other. So you scry 3, and then you leave a creature on top, maybe one that's expensive, and then you play Believe and get that creature for free. Or you just play Reason for a blue. Reason seems fine by itself.
I mean, I don't know if I'd put Reason by itself in a deck ever, but
No, but I mean, it's fine, especially for limited. You know, you might have 1 or 2 copies of, although it is rare. But, you know, if you want to fix what's coming up, Scry, for a single blue, we mentioned the difference between Scry 1 and Scry 2 is huge. So Scry 3 is pretty impressive for a single blue. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't draw you the card, but it sets you up really well.
yeah. So I like that one. It's not, insane. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
So this is the one that was here that I've seen before. Grind to Dust. Grind costs 1 and a black. Put a -1/-1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. It's a sorcery. So you get small. Seems good. And then Dust for 3 and a white. Aftermath. And then exile any number of target creatures that have -1/-1 counters on them. Wow, so for 6 mana, it says get rid of that and that. And
Yeah.
maybe other stuff too, but definitely get rid of that and that.
Yeah. And there, of course, because there's all these other ways to have -1/-1 counters between Amonkhet and now this set.
Yeah.
You might be exiling a lot of things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice. So there's another one. Anybody
Mike-
want to read that?
Mike, do you want to talk about this one? I've got the one up. that was-
Oops, I had my mic muted. I started reading it and I was like, shut up.
Oh, see, I was afraid you had walked away or something, so I was just sort of
No.
like, dum.
No, I had my microphone muted and I started reading it. And I'm like, why are you guys? Just let me do this.
Because we're jerks, Mike.
Yeah. So, Driven to Despair. Driven is a sorcery for 1 and a green until end of turn. Creatures you control gain trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Despair, the Aftermath side, costs 1 and a black. Ooh, this is a cheap one.
Yeah,
2
it
and
is.
2. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card.
Holy crap.
That's a great big punch in the face.
That is.
And it's for only 4 mana.
Yeah. They get trample and
Trample
Menace.
and Menace.
I mean, if they're double blocked because of menace, that means there's enough toughness. Maybe the trample won't carry through, but still, that means maybe some other creatures got through completely unblocked.
And it's all of your creatures.
Yeah,
It's not a creature you control. Jeez.
Is this the sort of thing that if you get it in like the pre-release, you try desperately to go black-green? Because this seems like the sort of thing that will turn a game around hard left, and now you're going to win.
Even Driven can win some games all by itself.
That is true. Hey, all these big dudes, they have trample down.
Yeah, and even if you just leave your opponent at 2 to 5 life, you just drew a bunch of cards too. So.
And they just discarded a bunch.
Well,
I'm
Mike's
saying even just guessing the driven
the first half. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was a bit distracted.
You just dealt your opponent a big blow and drew several cards. So.
Yeah. Whew.
It's
There's
true.
one-
Yeah, despair you can actually save until later to deal the finishing blow.
Right.
Ooh.
Each of these is kind of like a mini overrun effect. And last time I heard, overrun effects win you games. So, there's one more Aftermath card that's been spoiled as of today. It's an uncommon, so you're not going to see the same power that you have with these others, but it's Claim to Fame. And Claim, for a single black, is a sorcery, uncommon. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Seems pretty good. And then Fame, for 1 and a red, Aftermath sorcery. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So for 3 mana, and you're not getting just any creature back because that would be ridiculous for 1 black. That would just be stupid. But you get something with converted mana cost 2 less. 2 or less back, sorry. And then you can just and punch him in the face.
You there. Boy. What day is it? It's Christmas, sir. Go kill that guy. Because, things are very dark these days.
They are. But, so these are all pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. The art for Claim shows someone lay down on what looks like an embalming table, but there are also 2 big blocks of Lazotep at the head of the table. Lazotep is that, mysterious magical blue stone that is worked into the cartouches that people get for rewards and the cartouches that seem to control the mummies. And it's what the mummies have been mining all this time.
Where are you guys
and when
seeing
the
Eternals,
Eternals,
this one, by the way? Where are you guys seeing this one?
Oh, it's one of the things in the daily update.
Okay.
Yeah. I just figured I would take it real
There
quick.
it is.
So that you didn't have to.
And all of the Eternals that rushed out of the necropolis to destroy the world, they're all they all have this Lazotep worked into their bones and their armor.
Thus why all of the Eternalized dudes are blue.
Yes.
Good to know. Huh. Well, that's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's probably a good place to stop, right?
I think that's probably a good place to stop.
Yeah.
We'll have a bunch more next week. So
Let me give it a quick run through real quick. Oh, we didn't talk about the B team, but whatever, they'll wait.
the B team.
Yeah, the Planeswalker deck, Planeswalkers. Oh, the other promos, by the
they'll
way.
keep.
What?
What?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said they'll keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ramanop Excavator is what you get from Draft Weekend, which we surmise is what's replaced the whole launch weekend thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I forget that's had so many names over the years that I don't even know anymore, and I think this is a relatively new change.
It is, because we were looking at the schedule and it listed it last week when we were doing announcement week. The Wildfire Eternal is the buy a box, which we've already covered.
Yeah, the game day participation is a Braid, which is 1 in a red, uncommon, instant. Choose one, deal 3 to a creature, or destroy an artifact.
Very flexible. Very flexible. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. The top 8 is the Adorned Pouncer, and then if you win the whole thing, you get the super sick Bolas playmat that says Mastermind. Whew. So yeah, there you go. Okay, I think that's probably all the good stuff then, or at least enough of the good stuff to last for one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about some final thoughts from yous guys?
For my part, I'm kind of with Brian on it that there's some really cool stuff, some really interesting stuff, but for me, the story is far more interesting than sort of the set.
Mm.
That there's this sort of big lead up that there's this really weird place, sort of getting to learn a little bit about the culture and everything, and then just to see all of this stuff that's sort of been built that you're sort of just now figuring out, and all of a sudden now it's just going to pot.
Yeah, what Dirk's referencing is when we were talking about this earlier in the week setting up the podcast, I had said that I was good to record, but that honestly the set was not super exciting to me, and those that know me know that I usually get super excited for any new set. So it was kind of a change, but what Dirk's saying, and I think I agree with, is there's some really interesting cards, but as a whole, I'm more interested in some of the individual cards than the mechanics or the set as a whole. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. There's really cool stuff. I find it more interesting to learn that there's the five gods that were doing all this, that you've got these monocolored gods that are sort of been doing their part, that you've got these guys who are going in and trying to sacrifice themselves to be the best and all, and with this we can only assume is Bolas. But again, we know what happens when we assume. And that's sort of all we've got. And now to learn that not only is he showing up and doing some shenanigans, but apparently he's ready to nuke the entire plane.
Certainly seems that way.
So, but that's all I've really got with this, is that I haven't bought anything of Amonkhet. It's my priorities have not been on Magic right now, so.
Well, yeah, you're buying houses and
there's a little too much going on for me right now.
Yeah,
and money is sort of being allocated for other purposes, so I really have no idea if I'm going to even invest in this set or the block. Sorry. So there'll be one of the times when I just said with the whole thing.
No shame. I've been doing that for years now. I was like, yes, pre-release, sick, and that's all the cards I have from that set.
Yeah.
Until the next pre-release, when I might get a couple more cards from that set.
Yeah, I haven't. Only thing I really get is a fat pack, and I think I get like six packs in addition to it, and that's sort of the extent of my collecting a set. So I've really not been doing much on the buying Magic front. The only thing I actually I spent a lot of money on was to get the Commander sets, because the Commander is the big thing that we play now, and that's the easiest one for me to buy stuff, cannibalize a deck, and then turn it into something that I want to play.
Hey, we still don't know anything else about the new Commander set yet, do we? All we
Just
know
that
is
it's tribal.
Yeah, four decks and they're tribal, and that's what we got.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
There are some illicit spoilers floating around, but some people doubt whether they're even real.
Yeah. Someone asked on Twitter not long ago, hey, I'm new to Monday Night Magic, but do you guys talk about, leaks and stuff? And we were like, no. And Bill pointed out, for the health of the game and the PR of the set and all of that. And I said, and because for years, early cards were just wrong.
Yes. People were trying to trick us.
And there was one in particular that was close. I wish I could remember. It was one of those like aggressive red cards, creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw looked believable enough and was so stupidly powerful. And then what we got was still good, but it wasn't what we saw ahead of time. So like, oh, that's not good. But it was. But the thing we'd seen before was just ridiculously powerful. And that sort of thing really put me off of... Back when Rancor Elf was doing his thing, you would have just random, oh my god, here's a card from the new set, leaked. And I'm like, oh my god! Yeah, the intervening years have made me not even... When people say, oh my god, a bunch of stuff from whatever leaked, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, even stuff that leaks from an official site. Like, Bolas was shown, I don't know, weeks ago, accidentally, on the Wizards website, I think. It was like, whoops! It was taken down quickly, but, once something's on the internet, it's all on the internet forever. But I didn't look at it, because, Wizards didn't want me to see this, so I'll just wait.
I waited. I had heard that the spoilers for some of these cards were out, and it was Wizards' own fault. It wasn't somebody else, like, hacking in. It was a mistake on their part, and I almost let myself look at it, and I didn't. And honestly, given that it was Wizards' fault or their mistake, I was kind of surprised that they didn't just come out and say, oops, sorry, here you go. And for like the last 2 weeks, I've been like, so... I mean, really, like I can see them not wanting to acknowledge it if
It's like, oh, I'm being so noble, not looking at this spoiler. Show me, hurry up.
so pretty much, and it's not about noble is a word. I don't think I was necessarily doing anything better for the company or anything like that. It was more just I wanted to have context to it if they were going to release it with a story article or something.
Yeah,
but in the end, they just released it on Monday anyway, and I was just like, ugh.
Lord. Anyway, we sort of hijacked Dirk's final thought. Our bad.
A little bit.
Well, that almost always happens for me. So that whatever I'm going on about is
Hey,
like
Dirk, did you ever hear about that thing that has nothing to do with you?
vaguely.
Lord.
So, yeah, with that, I'm going to head on to bed, y'all.
all right.
See you up there in a minute.
All right, well, I'll make some space then for you.
No, that's okay.
You have to sleep in the boys' room. So, all right. Good night, guys.
Good night, Dirk.
Good night.
I don't know why that caught me off guard, but it did. Well, then how about you there? See you up there in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of been an interesting week just because there's no court this week. So I've kept Sam home, and that way we didn't have to pay for summer camp this week. And I had a list of things I was going to do. And Monday I knocked a bunch of stuff out. And Tuesday I was going great. And then, I got stung. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to finish mowing the lawn today because I don't know where the nest is. I found the nest and destroyed it on Wednesday morning, but since then, my foot has continued to swell, and I was getting a bit worried about it.
Yellow Jackets, by the way, listeners.
Yellow Jackets, yes.
Yeah.
There's a freebie for you, even if you're not a patron. But underground Yellow Jackets nest, and only one stung me, and it only stung me once. And I looked online, and apparently, you might get stung once and have it swell up quite a bit, and you might get stung again later, and it's just like a little bump. So there's really no way of telling. It just kind of depends on, when it hits you and where it hits you and what your body chemistry is like. Of course, some people that are extremely allergic, it can actually be life-threatening. Luckily, I'm not that way. But I was like, okay, that hurts a little bit on Wednesday, but on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, I was like, oh, it's still kind of uncomfortable. And then today, I'm like, I can't move. So I looked it up, and apparently the swelling can increase for the next 3 days. So I'm like, good, because, my foot doesn't look enough like a balloon yet. But supposedly after 3 days, it will stop growing, but it may take the rest of the week for it to get back to normal size. So when I start going back to court next week, and I have to cram my foot into my business shoes, this may be uncomfortable. But, other people have problems, and I don't want to complain a whole lot. I've still got the rest of my health. And honestly, while I hate that I have not been able to be as productive around here as I wanted to be, if this had happened on a week when I did have work, it would have been that much worse. So, it works out a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Just don't get stung. Don't do it. Just don't. It's not fun. I had thought to myself on Tuesday, that, well, I hope I don't get stung again later, like if there's another nest or something. But now I'm actually quite paranoid about, like, I really don't want to go through this again. So I need to make sure there's no more before I mow the lawn. And my neighbors might, start getting lost in my yard as the grass keeps growing. But hopefully I'll find them.
But what are the neighbors doing walking around your yard anyway? Screw them.
That would not be a good idea. They're apt to get stung if they do that. So, but yeah, I mean, otherwise everything's okay. So I do not think that I will be able to go to an Hour of Devastation pre-release because that will be the same weekend as my 10th marriage anniversary. So probably not going to be able to make that.
Well, fair enough then.
Yep. You guys go have a great time and tell me all about it later. So that's pretty much it for me. So you gentlemen have a good night. I'm going to go put this thing on some ice and then get the hay.
All right then.
Good night.
Night, yo. So how about you, Mike?
Let's see. So, as we mentioned quickly very early in the episode, I was a guest on the most recent episode of JudgeCast. As of right now, it hasn't been posted yet, although I don't think it'll be much longer before it is. I think it'll be episode 175.
I mean, this won't go public until, I think, Sunday, so surely those lazy bastards will have it up by then.
But yeah, Brian Perlman asked me to come on the show because they wanted to talk about, practical advice for going to tournaments and the important differences between regular rules enforcement level events like your Friday Night Magic and pre-releases and drafts at the shop, and competitive rules enforcement level events like PPTQs and GPs.
Oh God! Did you tell him the sleeve story from?
Yes, because having good sleeves was one of the things that came up, and I mentioned that Clues almost had to disqualify me. Thank goodness they believed my story, my true story about just being a big idiot, instead of a shady character.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, they wanted someone with a player perspective that also wasn't too spiky, who could talk intelligently on the subject. So they asked me, and I did my best.
So there was someone who plays Magic but isn't good at it. Got
yes.
it.
Yes, exactly. That is me.
Nice.
It was fun.
Did you make any jokes about Perlman being out early?
No.
Damn. Bill will be disappointed.
Yeah. So that happened. And then as another final thought related to Hour of Devastation, there was another thing that came up while Brian and I were talking at dinner yesterday evening. Brian said how he was kind of disappointed that the three forgotten gods that Nicol Bolas had been hiding away were just called, the Scorpion God, the Locust God, the Scarab God, instead of getting names. And this is something I had been thinking about before. And I was like, well, so everyone who was still alive when Nicol Bolas, after Nicol Bolas first came to the plane and killed all the adults, that was 60 years ago. They were just kids. They're long dead. And all the remaining gods were forced to forget the other gods that got hidden away. And the subsequent generations growing up on Amonkhet would never have been taught about them. So no one on the plane, no one period, except for Nicol Bolas, if he even cares, knows the names of those gods. And
of course he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care. What would make you think that? That's ridiculous.
He's like when the new, let's say there's a mob. There's the mob.
Mm-hmm.
Or even better, like a group of supervillains.
Yes.
And let's say it's Flash's Rogues Gallery, right?
Right.
And they're all together and somebody's the leader. And then, Steve the superpowered jackass comes in, takes out the leader and goes, right, I'm in charge now. And he questions and everyone's like, and he's like, you, Handlehead. And Mirror Master goes, hey! Because look up Mirror Master, he's got handles on it. Was that Mirror Master? I think that's Mirror Master. He's like, you with the parka. You got anything to say, Parka Boy? And Captain Cold's like, no. Now he's Parka Boy. Like, Nicol Bolas is like, you, Scorpion God. And he's like, my name is, it doesn't matter what your name is, because The Rock. Yeah, that's your name now, Scorpion God. Got it? Yes, sir. Excuse me? Yes, God Pharaoh. Damn right. Bolas is harsh, man.
He is. Just the worst.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I had that whole thing coalesced into my head, and I couldn't not say it.
No, I just thought that was an interesting thing to think about, and I wanted to share it.
That is neat. Scorpion
Yeah, like,
God is
no
gonna
one-
like turn at the last minute and be like, "My name is Jim."
But yeah, the only being in the multiverse who knows their names right now is the one who does not care in the least.
Do they know their names?
In the story, in the most recent story where Ronus is fighting the Scorpion God, it becomes clear to Ronus as he's dying. Like as he's dying, Ronus remembers that the Scorpion and Locust and Scarab gods are their brothers, but he doesn't mention a name, and he can tell that they're just completely under Bolas's control, have zero free will.
Gotcha.
So who knows whether they even have minds right now.
Damn. Tell you, man, he's a bad dude.
Hmm.
So dark. This is like Injustice levels of dark, man.
Right. This is like the Phyrexians win levels of dark.
Yeah. That is a good point. Wizards has shown in the past that they are perfectly willing to completely wreck a plane for story purposes.
Yeah, the Phyrexians won. Emrakul decided not to win, but Innistrad is still never going to go back to the way it was. It's still permanently changed.
Yep. Dominaria was trashed for 11 years.
Yeah, well, now we know it's more like 60 years.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, because it's been 60 years since the mending. Because Bolas came to Amonkhet and set up all this stuff when he didn't have very much time left before the mending finally happened.
Oh, okay.
And he lost his godlike power, his original godlike power that he had already had for thousands of years. So I bet the last 60 have just been annoying as all get out.
Oh, clearly, yeah. You can tell anytime he appears that he's just bitter about all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, back in my day, we just shut up, Grandpa Bolas. You listen to me, you little twerp. That was Jace, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
He is.
This is a really bad time to be in a current Magic story. Like everything's going horribly wrong. I can't wait to see what happens. I would say I'll check it out when the Duels update happens. Aw. Yeah,
hopefully. I would like if the first two story spotlight cards are indicative of a cycle that shows us through the hours what happens to everyone.
I mean, surely they are.
I hope so.
I mean, we've already got the white one and the black one as 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, surely they will. Maybe, hopefully, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were, like the version of the prophecy that everyone on the plane knows has 4 hours, and I guess the 5th one would be the Hour of Devastation.
Oh. So then we could do the Dance of the Hours, right?
Yeah.
Don't play. Sorry, listeners, you just heard random noise. So there we go. After the Hour of Devastation, then the hippos and the crocodiles and the flamingos, they're not flamingos, the hippos and the crocodiles and the ostriches will all dance with each other.
Which are all creatures that you could plausibly find on Amonkhet somewhere.
Yeah. A small piece of that.
Yeah.
Wait. This is Ponchielli's Dance of the Hours that you're hearing now, dear listeners. Let's get to an interesting part. Here we go. Yeah, you remember this? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, you can't.
Nope. But I will later.
Anyway. It's from Fantasia. That's where I mean by the crocodiles and the hippos and the ostriches all dancing with each other. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Fantasia. It's brilliant. Either one. Dance of the Hours isn't the first one, though. Anyway. So do we have anything else there, Mike?
That's it for now.
All right. Well, I will forego a normal final thought because I've interrupted everyone else's. And just give you all the normal contact information. You can find the archive of the show at themanapool.com. You can find the YouTube videos that I make, because I do YouTube videos, at youtube.com/themanapool, where I finished the story mode of Injustice, the DC Comics fighting game that was super dark and depressing, sort of like Hour of Devastation. So that's a 12-part series that you can go check out if you like. It's done now. It's all out, up. There's a playlist. I just finally started to put up the next batch of Left 4 Dead. So way back in January, when we were all snowed in, the four of us that weren't Mike decided to play Left 4 Dead because Mike's computer is a dumb.
Well, I'm a
And also
dumb.
Mike is a dumb, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's myself and Bill from Monday Night Magic and Scott, my former roommate, and Squanto, from way, way, way back in the day here on the Manipool. And we were playing Left 4 Dead. The very first episode went up where I failed miserably at starting the game properly 3 times in a row. That was nice. Once we joined some server that had other stuff running that was super weird, and then we all died, and we were like, what the hell? And then I accidentally set it up as a versus thing. No, first I set it up as a LAN. It didn't have the word LAN on it. It didn't say local. So I tried that, and everybody but me got kicked because, hey, I'm the only one in my apartment. And then I set it up again as a versus somehow, accidentally. And it was... And then we finally played through. Do what?
What does that even mean in the context of Left 4 Dead versus?
You can have 8 people. 4 people are the survivors, and 4 people are the special zombies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but there were just the 4 of us, and we were just trying to play through the damn story mode.
Mm-hmm.
The third try, I finally got it right. The 4th try, actually, I finally got it right, and we were able to progress. We're playing Crash Course, I believe it's the first of the DLC campaigns, because it's much shorter, but it's just the first chunk. And I've got a lot more Left 4 Dead coming, because we played Left 4 Dead for hours that night, because we were all snowed in. So, yeah. And it's a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that as much as we did. There's lots of running and screaming and shooting, and I think eventually there's probably some crying. But I found all these again and said, whoops, and I'm going to start putting them up now. Especially now that the first one's gone up, I can't stop. And let's see, over on twitch.tv/themanipool, you can find when I stream stuff, video games of various sorts. I'm trying to figure out what to stream next, because I'm really sick of like Overwatch and Rocket League, things that are, just pick up and play and then stop. I really want to do something that's got like a story, something I have to come back to over and over again. I just haven't figured out what just yet. But don't worry, I'll get all that figured out and start streaming it soon. Until then, I'll just stream random nonsense. Yeah. And then on Twitter, @themanipool, facebook.com/themanipool. It's the Manipool. The Steam group is the Manipool. The Discord channel isn't functional yet. I've really got to get that fixed so people can start being in there. I'll work on that sometime. Eventually, maybe. Am I missing something? Email is dorks@themanipool.com. Send us an email, we'll get it. We might not reply, but we will totally read it. I promise. We always read it.
Always.
And usually everyone is waiting on someone else to respond, and then no one does because we're terrible at email. Half the time I don't get these guys to respond to the scheduling emails every week, so...
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. And, of course, if you want to help support what I do with all of this podcasting and YouTubing and Twitch streaming, then you can check out the Patreon at patreon.com/themanipool, where you can get Manipool episodes and YouTube videos early. You can get the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded behind the scenes before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manipool. That's uncensored and unfiltered and generally unsafe for consumption. It's us being more us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, before this episode, we talked all about Brian's injury and changes coming to Hearthstone and Overwatch. And there was something else very specific that I was going to mention that has now fallen off.
Gastrointestinal issues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and vomit stories. See, there you go. That's what you're paying for. Yeah, and because I'm so far behind on those, I'm making a concentrated effort to get them up, to get caught up. So now is a great time to join that tier because they're going up at a pretty good clip, and that's awesome. So yay. And I guess, and you can also, if you're so inclined, to get all of that and get your name on the end slate for every video that goes up in each month that you support at that tier. So that's really cool. Yeah, you can also find Monday Night Magic and the Mana Pool over on the YouTube channels now, in case that's easier for you. I had enough people request that I finally gave in, and it eats up like 3 hours of otherwise productive time per episode to put it up on YouTube. So please go watch it.
Really?
Yeah, dude, because
it would have been that arduous.
Well, okay, it's going to go down some now because I have tweaked some settings. The last episode of the Mana Pool that I put up took over 8 hours to render. I have no idea why. Something went wrong. It came out fine, but yeah, Clues wasn't on Monday Night Magic, so we were going to start an hour early at 7.
Mm-hmm.
We started at 9. We started the actual podcast at 10 because Bill and I talk a lot before the show. So yeah, instead of starting an hour early, we started 2 hours late.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've tweaked some video settings to make it less miserable, and the audio quality is still there, and the video quality, because it's a still image, I still want it to be good. You know, I found a setting to change, and it came out looking like ass, and I was like, I'm not, no. But I tweaked a few other settings, and they come out much, much faster. Usually it's like 2 hours or so to render the damn thing because they're over, hour and a half, 2 hour episodes. And even with a still image, my rendering software just is like, and can't do it. So it takes a long time. But like I said, the last time that I rendered the one that I used for Monday Night Magic, it took like 30 minutes, which for I think that one was over 2 hours. Then that's awesome compared to what it was before. It was like moving from the laptop to the beast. It's that kind of difference. I was like,
Wow.
So maybe they don't take that long anymore, but I still have to figure out a still image because on most of these, I'm looking at it going, I don't know. But whatever. Go listen to it there. Help a brother out. With that, I'm going to shut up now. So this has been, I forgot what episode and I closed it. This should be 468. Yes, of the Mana Pool. Thank you all so very much for listening, and we're all gonna die. I mean, go play some Magic.